Glory be to God. We're living in victory. We'll die in victory. Gotta thank God for another day. And gotta thank God for another game. God of War Laufey is here. And in the background, you're gonna be watching the 20-minute long gameplay. And I will have more deep dive breakdowns on the combat and much of the systems. But today you're getting the truth. The most important things that you need to know ahead of the game, as well as possibilities that are very interesting. This is going to be spoiler heavy for the whole series, and come back and watch this if you haven't played the games. Go enjoy them, come back. Let's do it together. We're going to die and head on over the promised land, or as they say, the special high planes of existence. And at least that's what an ancient god once said, as well as the Everywhen. Many things to get into, we're going to discuss and share with you. So let's do it. First things first, if you are a God of War fan, you're in very much blessings, or this game has expanded your universe and taken you to another level. If you're new and you don't know what's going on, it's kind of a good new entry point with a different character, kind of introducing the universe in a different way. And here she is, Faye. Now, one thing I want to mention that I'll probably get into a little later in the breakdown is she's a mother. She has a beautiful son who's probably going to get his own game in the future. And he might appear in this game multiple times, as well as a wife to the real God of War, the true greatest God of War, Kratos. So we are literally seeing a mother's wrath, a wife's wrath. You don't want to be in the crosshairs of somebody trying to protect her family. So very interesting, and we'll get into some of this conversation as we go forward. But I do want to just note that mother's love is very important. Okay, with all that out of the way, I want to just dive right deep into this head first. She is in what people might say heaven or hell, but it's something a little deeper. And I want to take you back to 2010, when Athena sacrificed herself for the greater cause and was the first god to do that. And she basically reappeared to Kratos and said she's in the higher planes of existence, whatever that means. And funny enough, again, where Faye is, this character that we're seeing in the background, is Everywhen, a place where all magic returns. But these terminologies and conversations can always be miscued and misused by me, you, and all of us, as well as the writers and directors, purposely leaving it open for interpretation. Okay, so when I say what is heaven to you, maybe it's this or that, and someone else is different. And so those are the deeper conversations. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it does make me think a lot. If every magic is returning to this place and Faye is in here trying to leave, this is where the game will get interesting. And she wants to protect her husband and her son. And a woman's wrath is like no other. And as you can see in the background, which I'm not going to do a full breakdown for the combat, but she can jump and double jump. That's something that Kratos used to do in the older games until 2018, where he stopped jumping because he's old. But she's doing it right here, and she's doing combos in the air. Fantastic. And that's something that is returning to the series, I believe, from here on out. By the way, I can confirm it because it's literally in this game, and I assume Kratos will be doing it in the next game that he makes, because he used to do it in the past. And then Atreus as well will probably get powered up, just like his mama. Be a good boy. All right, with all that out of the way, we're not getting into combat, but that is kind of very cool that they added it to the game. The conversation is these pantheons that are connected, and how will she escape if she does? What does that mean if she escapes? Okay, So there's layers and realms that we don't know about, and then they can create their own realms because they're writing these stories and add fiction into the existing storylines of the Greek mythology or the Norse, whichever thing, because we're going to get into that too. There's actually a lot to discuss when it comes to where she might go. There's plenty of hints, so I cannot wait to dive deep into that. But as you can see, she's wearing armor. She picks up pieces of gear, so this is going to be a part of the progress in the game. You're going to start really getting yourself prepared for war, and of course she's out here fighting. And the main thing that I want to mention about this realm is these are the gods of war. She's going to run into different gods of war, which I'll showcase later, but she's running into these beasts who the door's closed to exit out of this place. She just looked at it and it's closed. Sorry, lady, you can't get out. And that's kind of the biggest hurdle in the beginning parts of this video. And that's where, how does she get out? If she gets out, does it mean she's leaving to Earth again and she's back to life? I wouldn't think so, because she got cremated. But she could come back in a different powerful form, just like the higher place, which Athena did for Kratos. She's already appeared in Kratos's past, which we'll get into in a minute. But all of this is super interesting because she already has so many powers and abilities, and she's paved the way for Kratos and her son together. And all while they were, her death started in 2018 game. They went and they got some wood, they deer hunted, and then they cremated her, and then her wish was for them to go to the mountains, right? We know all that story, but the reason I bring this up is because the storyline of this game is happening all while Kratos and her son is on their journey from that game. So as they go to cremate the mother and go through that process, and when they get there, they release her, and it's a beautiful moment. But I believe this magic is returning in some form in the real world, as well as the cool journey that she is on. Okay. So before I continue with that, we want to pause and give you some fear and strike some interesting concepts into your mind. Okay. In the background, you're watching different mythologies get combined and blended with the characters and the overall world that they're in here, because this, like I said, is not one person's planet or anything like that. All these gods are getting thrown in here every time they die. Imagine if there was like a afterlife for all the gods. Get in there, what you gonna do? And then they have to deal with each other. And this is the consequence, and this is the reality that you're seeing. She's a prisoner. She's getting held and being told what to do and getting put in the cage and, all of the various things. And what I want to mention, the first guy here, he is a god of war, brother. Mongolian god of war, right? So he is the big bad for the Mongolians. When you think of Ares from the original God of War series in the mythology, cool. Then you think of Thor and so on. For the series, we continue to fight these gods of wars. Well, this big bad is your new best friend or enemy, let's just say. And on top of that, even more revealing is the Egyptian goddess of war as well, right next to him. And so they're working together, as these powerful people do, to be in control of this realm in some form, in some way. I don't think they're the only ones in this realm, of course. There'll be people fighting back. Faye will make some friends along the way. But this is intriguing. And this is where you get to realize, like, she's in over her head. But it's absolutely insane because Kratos has killed endless amounts of gods. If you played every single game, and there's a bunch of them in the series, he just kills gods every couple of hours, right? Like every hour or two, he's killing off a god in the games, right? Like he's pretty psychotic like that. No offense, I love Kratos, but come on, man, like take it easy. One is enough, and even taking out Zeus and so much more. Again, these are spoiler heavy, but the point behind that, all these gods can appear in this universe because Kratos sent them there. And now his wife, that they don't know is his wife just yet during this game, but the moment that they start finding out Kratos' wife is in this realm, just imagine the hunt for her that the game can portray. Okay. Now, things that we don't know is if it's going to be an open world style of game and different from the original series, or are they going to keep the open area linear style, which is what I think most fans would prefer. But I'm okay with both. They make it open world and they got the gods hunting her, that would be crazy. But I do love the narrative focused style of game for the God of War series, and I'm okay with it staying that way, just to give you my opinion. But that's a whole nother conversation. This is the key right here, where there's something suspicious happening and they're looking through the scope, and these kind of things are telling you there's a bigger picture beyond these two psychopaths. No offense to the actors, but in character, two gods trying to control the gods that get sent to the afterlife. Okay, this is the most critical part, and this is going to be one of the most fun and interesting elements, because now what is happening outside of Faye trying to escape, right? And where does this story go? And look at this giant. Can I have one of these guys take me around town? But this is the kind of concept that I find intriguing, that's magical and not as Kratos, aka anti-magic. Even though Kratos uses magic, he's an anti-war, anti-God of War. Like he's the exact opposite. If you ever play the games, he wants to kill all the gods. He hates them. That was his original feeling and thoughts, and despises them, even though he becomes, basically one of them. So that's key, just to keep that all in reference as we continue with the plot of what I want to share and how I want to take you down a rabbit hole and help you. The footage and everything that you're seeing when it comes to her making friends with a ribbons, sword, and a cube all together as one, different people. The ribbon and the cube are friends and they work together. But that's a whole nother conversation. We're not going to do a deep dive into that. I wanted to go into some story elements and kind of share something. She has affected the story, and the fact that Cory Barlog and company has expressed that this story is actually exactly the moment you just saw, where her ashes, she gets burnt, and then guess what? Now we know she's gone and she's in this realm. But while that is happening, Kratos is hunting with his son and going through that process. I want to take you through a couple of events. This is where the spoilers are going to start kicking in for the series. In 2018, you got to remember, she made sure that they broke the protection, which forced Kratos and his son to leave home. Okay, that's when they got attacked, and the story was really cool. Really great start to the story. Then, of course, the golden paths in those games, it was golden paths to lead them where they needed to be. And then her son Atreus found out, like, oh wait, my mom left these for us to follow this path. On top of that, she left the for Kratos because she knew that was the only way he can survive the Norse pantheon. And then her last wish was to take her ashes to the highest peak in all the realms, which, if you do the numbers, it was specifically in the location where her son and Kratos will have to bond and trust each other to get through. On top of that, when they get there, there's a mural that basically predicted their whole journey and everything that they had to face, and also reveals the true identity of her son, which is he is Loki. Okay, So that's just the beginning, okay? And then you go into Ragnarok, destroying the prophecy, talking about how the giants learn the prophecy of Kratos dying in Atreus' arms and things like that. Then there's so much more. And I know this is going to be nerdy for people who probably are like, dude, I don't know any of that stuff. I don't remember it in the game. It's in the game. Play part 1, play part 2. We're not going to go through all of it. But the concept here is, as we play this game, they will be dealing with all the stuff that they deal with. She appears in his dream and appears to Kratos, guiding him along the way, teaching him to you know, love fully and to learn to be who he is and giving him wisdom. And so she's guiding him. And now look at him. He's guiding her. And it's a beautiful synergy between them here as a relationship wise, of course, but also just in general, the magic of, I remember her like, wow, this character is very interesting. She has a lot of power. She's capable of affect her husband and kids' journey, even though she's dead. That's what I thought. Little did I know, she's in this afterlife battling these gods over and over. And God knows what happens in this game, but if you're going to watch this next scene, it is absolutely phenomenal. And yes, there's a silly ass cube in the game too, but hey, embrace it. All right. We got Santa Monica kind of going next level insanity. But those are the kind of things that are exciting me about what's going to be possible and how she gains all these powers to help her family and still be in the story in her own way. And will she ever come back to life? I don't know. I don't care for that part. I care that she's affecting them and building them up and going forward. And we got the crazy cool gameplay that you're going to see in a second. That to me is the next level of God of War. Like, we're going back to what it was. If you guys remember, he was able to double jump and juggle enemies in the air with multiple attacks. And it was such a cool, fun way. And in the new God of Wars, he cannot jump. He's basically, you know, only jumping over like a little small step or something. But in this one, she can just jump anytime she wants and do some cool fights. And she got different fighting style. So it is pretty sick and another feel and flow. But the reason I mentioned that is because the new games, which I believe the son might have one, but you're definitely going to get a Kratos game. And I'm going to bring you back to the gods that we just saw, which is the Mongolian and the Egyptian ones. Maybe Kratos ends up fighting them in the new game, going to the Egypt realms and doing something over there and having to deal with that. Okay. So that is another thing that I'm so intrigued about, because what Cory Barlog originally mentioned in an interview that I watched today was that they're expanding this universe beyond one character, and they're going to keep on evolving it as well with the main character. Kratos will return. Where will he return? He mentioned he needs to go off on a journey, that his son is out on a journey as well. They're both kind of discovering some things. Well, guess what? We now know all the madness that's happening. This Mongolian god right here, little creep trying to beat on women, but he picked the wrong woman, man. Not a mother's wrath. You don't want that smoke. And so he's going in, and it's going to be incredible. And that, imagine going to that realm and having to deal with all of those cool mythology of the Egyptian world. Okay, so that's another conversation for another day, and we're not going to dive deep into that. But the reason I bring that up is it's key and it's important. Now, I want to mention one thing. Odin supposedly, you know, is gone, is he? The little trickster. Well, he's been researching the afterlife in Ragnarok a lot. He mentions it over and over. He's obsessed with it. He's trying to figure it out. What happens when gods die? That was kind of his main question. He's like the one that really asked that. And I'd seen that hint. I never thought about it until after they revealed this game. And I said, wow, okay, so then we're going to play as the wife in the afterlife. And this guy's over here researching it. I believe he's going to pop up in this world. He's going to be an ally. I don't think he's going to fight her. I think he's going to help her for himself, like selfishly, like, I'll help you, you know, because I'm going to benefit. I'm getting 50% of your royalties. whatever the case may be. This guy's a psycho who's always trying to manipulate people and things, and he's like really genius in his trickery. So I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. And that could be its own story. And you can use him with Atreus or Kratos in some ways as well, since he's a part of that and he's such a powerful being. You know, there's ways to manipulate all those parts and stories. And there's definitely fun elements that I personally think will be spectacular when the time comes, when it fully develops into, you know, the next couple games. When this game is releasing, 2020, whatever, cool. I'm not here to predict dates, but what I can say, they are already working on a second project at the same time. And what that project is and how is it functioning, we don't know yet. But since this one is already ready to show gameplay, in my opinion, it's probably coming out next year at minimum. And then the maximum, of course, we would want more when the time comes. Always want more, right? But those are some of the key things to remember from the series. I did mention one thing, which was 2010, when Athena talked about the high planes of existence. And I did mention the part where Everywhen, all the magic returns. But one of the key things that kind of stick to me is this lady's too powerful. Like, I feel like she is the future. And one of the crazy predictions, which I'm sorry to kind of get into speculation zones here, the main prediction and what I'm feeling, I just wanted to throw this in here, is she's gonna have some type of superpower, not only to do what she's been doing affecting the series already, we've seen it in the first two iterations of having her, but in this one I think it's gonna go even further, and she'll have effects on universes and realms and different pantheons. It's gonna be next level, and she'll be like the motherly guide for Kratos and Atreus. And I say motherly, I mean she's the wife of Kratos, but same kind of concept. The love, her love guides all, right? Like in all realms, and she'll be there forever. After this game, maybe she won't return physically, but she'll return in that powerful being that's always by your side. And if they do that, I think it's perfect. I think this is a good way to kind of like give her origin to become the voice in all of their heads, in all of our heads. And what do you think of that, if that's the case? I'm not the writer, and I'm just kind of going based off of what they presenting to us. And since she's the next big part of this, it's very interesting. So hopefully you enjoyed this deep dive breakdown. And if you have your own thoughts, theories, maybe something that I mentioned wrong, I pronounced a word wrong, I tend to do that. So feel free to share it in the comments. Just wanted to unload everything I'm feeling. I challenge everybody to do what I'm going to be doing, is replaying the game for this whole year, kind of going through all of the games, not just the new two ones that are connected to this, but the previous ones, because she's going to face some of those gods at some point. At least one or two might make an appearance. There has to be some, in my opinion. It would make perfect sense for these people to want one of the gods to get revenge by taking out Kratos's wife, you know? So share that in the comments. Who do you think will make it in? Let's have some fun. All right, you guys take care, stay blessed. Remember to thank God for another day. Peace.